Thank you for tuning in. This is Tea with Terika. So if you don't know me, my name is Terika. I am doing a lot of different things on YouTube now. So a lot of clothing reviews and story times, additioned with a lot of therapy advice as well. So I decided today to do a story time with you guys. So let's get into it. So this story is from my college years. So I'm going to go chronologically from my freshman year to senior year. There's only 2 stories, so it's just my freshman year and senior year, honestly. So this story is involving me being stalked. So for me, I want to say, first of all, I do not condone stalking at all. I think it's a terrible crime, and it is honestly one of the most scariest crimes, especially for women. It also can be the same for men as well, but I think women are more statistically the ones being stalked overall. So this is just about my experience. I don't know about anyone else's experiences when it comes to having someone stalk you, but this is what I have experienced personally. So at the end of the day, let's get into it. So I went to college at the University of Rochester. So I'm not going to say that University of Rochester is the unsafest campus, but it's a very open campus if you've never been to Rochester. So it's a very open campus, like I said, and there are many different people that can come on and off campus at any time, which is what open campus means. So actually, these involve 2 males that were students on campus. So the story starts with me and my friends at the time. It was the last day of our freshman year classes, so we were going up to one of the dining halls to get ice cream. And then we're going to meet up with one of our other friends who's a guy who works at one of the cafes on campus. So we go get the ice cream. There's 2 other girls, me and 2 other girls who are my friends. We go down, we get our ice cream, we come down, we go to the cafe, and our friend is still working. I believe he still had like 30 minutes left of his shift at the cafe. So we decided to get something from the cafe as well. Well, I decided to get something at the cafe because, ice cream makes you thirsty, but I also want a hot chocolate. It was also summertime. Let's describe that. It was the end of the semester. It was around April 30th. Not really the summer yet, but it was pretty humid, hot outside. That's why we were getting ice cream. And I did just come from the gym, so I was wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants on campus. So I did ask for a hot chocolate. And my friend was complaining to me, Terika, you're so weird. Why would you get a hot chocolate outside of like the season of getting hot chocolate? I love hot chocolate personally. I don't know about anyone else, but I love hot chocolate. I get it any time of the year and I drink it any time of the year, even if it's hot outside. So I got me a hot chocolate for that night because something cold, I got something hot as well. So for that night, I did get me a hot chocolate, and my friend rang me up, got me my hot chocolate, and I sat down at the table. My friends were still complaining about me getting a hot chocolate, how it's weird, how it's really odd, and I was explaining how I'm weird and I'm really odd. So here's me and my hot chocolate. I'm going to drink it like I want to drink it. So in the midst of us talking, my friend's still working, there was a guy that came in, and he got himself a hot chocolate as well. And I pointed out, see, this guy right there, he got himself a hot chocolate because I was eavesdropping on what he was ordering. Our table wasn't that far away from the cash register, so it was very easy for me to hear what he said. So when he said that, he turned around and said, "Oh, yeah." So I was just like, okay, cool with the situation, brief conversation, it was fine. Me and my friends continued talking, chit-chatting about something else, something on campus, family life. Don't really remember what we were talking about. This was years ago. So the guy gets his hot chocolate, I believe, and he comes over to our table and can you sit with us? We're at a 3-person table, so it's already full, so he pulled up a chair, because we did say, one of my friends said yes, so I'm just like, okay, guess he's sitting with us today. So he started talking to us, telling us how he was in ROTC. You don't know what ROTC is? It could be a high school or a college program for direct contracting with the Army, military, Army, Marines, Air Force, any military branch. So he was in the Army for ROTC. He said he was a senior. We were freshmen. So we had a brief conversation, and that was it. We're still we're telling him we were waiting for our friend to get off, and then we were going back to our dorm rooms. So in the midst of our conversation, I wasn't directly talking to him the entire time. My friends were. So in the midst of our conversation, they mentioned that we lived in this hall, and he's like he lived in a neighboring hall. So it's odd for seniors sometimes to live in one of the freshman halls or one of the upperclassmen halls on campus. I mean, upperclassmen, you have seniors up to juniors in the upperclassmen hall, and there are freshman halls that are just dedicated to freshmen. So most juniors and seniors want to live off campus or in one of the apartment style halls, which is on the other side of campus across the river. So he said he lived in one of our neighboring halls, which is right across from where we were. So we said, cool, that's awesome. So my friend gets off, we get up. He said, why don't we walk back to the direction of the dorms together? So I'm like, okay, that's fine. We're going in the same direction. That's cool. So still, my friend is the one talking to him primarily. I'm talking to my friend who just got off, asking how his day was, blah, 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 going through the whole motions. And in the midst of all our conversations, we mentioned that we're going to a party. Because it's the end of the semester, about the party, we're about to get our thing on. And I'm not going to say what we're doing, but we're going to get some dancing and some other things going. So we're walking back. We're talking about this party that we're going to have, that we weren't going to have. I mean, there was going to be a party on the fraternity quad. So we're talking about what party we're going to. He's like, and this guy, the ROTC guy, I'm going to call him that, is asking about when we're going to go to the party, what is it going to be like? So we give them some details. We said we've never been to a party like this before. Again, we're freshmen, so we're pretty new to campus. I wasn't pretty new to partying. They were with my friends, but we didn't have like complete details of what this party was like. My guy friend who just got off is the one that was actually invited, so we're just going with him. So as we're approaching the dorms, he asked, can he come with us to this party? So we're like, okay, that's fine. We can definitely meet up at the party. But he insisted on going in to our dorm building with us, even though he lived in the dorm right across. That was the first thing that was suspicious to me. So I'm just like, okay, let's go in. Again, friends are primarily talking to him. I'm hanging in the background, not really having a conversation. I did make eye contact with him a few times. I noticed that throughout us conversating that he was looking directly at me. So sometimes when he would look at me, I would say something or I would participate in the conversation. I'm assuming if my two other friends or my guy friend is saying something and I'm not, I should at least participate if someone's looking at me. So that's what I did. I said a few things. We primarily went back to one of my friend's rooms. So we're in her room. We were changing. I went back to my room to change into something else. Again, I was wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants. So I was trying to look cute. I wasn't trying to look like a slob. I wasn't trying to look trashy or trash. Like, I was not going to be a dumpster going out to this party. So I had to get ready. So I got ready and then came back to the room. And then we started walking to the party. So in the midst of us walking to the party, my friend's whispering to me how weird this guy is. So I'm like, oh, is he weird? Like, is he odd? And I'm just like, it's odd that he wanted to come with freshmen to a party. Definitely. It was very suspicious, honestly. It was some weird stuff going on. So we went to this party. We got dancing. We started doing stuff. He was continuously following us throughout the party. I wouldn't say this is a stalking situation that's going on. It was just weird. He wanted to join us. So I wouldn't say he was stalking at this point. But as we continue on with the night, we started, having some alternative beverages, and we started doing stuff, which included playing games. Like I said, again, dancing, sitting around, talking to other people. But it wasn't really like a hyped up party like I was used to, because it wasn't really a fraternity party. It was just on the fraternity quad. So we ended up leaving that night early. So when we walked back, he insisted again to come back to the dorm rooms with us. So we said we can do something, because he suggested we can do something after. So in the midst of us doing this, he was primarily talking to me. We said this, but I brought it to the entire group that we should do something after. My guy friend, who's friends with all of us, he was like, girls, I'm going to bed. So he went to bed in his own room when we got back to the dorms. And then we went to my friend's room again. So my two friends at the time were roommates. I didn't say that, but they were roommates. So they had their own room. Then I had another room 2 doors down. So they went in, and I let this guy go in before me, and I flipped off to my room to change again and, try to get out the situation. I'm not trying to be bad, and so I was trying to leave him with my friend, but it was weird. They texted me and told me to come back and basically get this guy out of the room because I initiated him talking to us, which I kind of did say something about hot chocolate, but I didn't know how that constituted him coming over and talking to us. But anyway, I went back to the room, and they were saying as I walked in that they're going to bed, so have a good night. So we got out of the room, and he said, why don't we do something together? So I was just like, okay, what do you want to do? And he's like, how about we just watch a movie? And I was like, okay, we can watch it in the lounge area. He's like, I heard during the conversation you have a TV in your room. And in my head, I'm like, I don't want to do that. But I'm just like, okay, fine, we can watch TV in my room. Remind you, I have another roommate who was sleeping in the room at the time. And previous to that night, because it was around senior week, they do give out tickets and other stuff to seniors. So I do, from my cheerleading team when I was in college, I had a friend who was a senior who wanted to stay in my dorm room that night so she can get up early in the morning to go get these tickets because they're right across the quad in one of our community buildings on campus. So I'm just like, okay, she can come and do that. That's completely fine. So in the midst of her doing that, she was still, not in the midst of her doing that, but she was still in the room. So there's 2 other people in this room. So I said, let's watch a scary movie, and say yes. So we start watching the movie. And he kept saying he's scared of scary movies, that he might hold my hand throughout. And I'm just like, I think you should keep your hands to yourself. So we're sitting on my bed. He's on this side. I'm over in the corner. And I'm not about to get up close to this dude. So we watched throughout the movie. And I can definitely see that he's like pretending to fall asleep. And you know how I know that? It's because suddenly he's awake, and I still don't look at him and close his eyes, and he just slumps. Like, he's not like he's awake and then he just goes like this. No, he's awake and goes like, and then he opens eyes again like this, and I'm just like, now you acting weird. Through the end of the movie, I know for a fact that he was fake sleeping. He was fake sleeping, like trying to do the whole shoulder, hand, like head on the shoulder kind of thing to me. I kept moving over, and I'm just like, yeah, you're not, I'm thinking in my head, yeah, you're not sleeping in here. So I was like, okay, you need to go now. Like, not even like nicely. I was like, okay, bye-bye, have a good day. And he's just like continuously go like, oh, I fell asleep. And I'm like, yeah, you fell asleep. Okay, have good night, because you're not staying in my room. So I'm excusing this guy out of my room. So as I'm excusing him out, he said that we can go back to his room and do something else too. And I was like, it is 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to bed. I have something to do tomorrow. I lied. I had nothing to do tomorrow, but I was not going to hang out with him. And he tried to give me a hug. I said, back it up. He asked for my number. I said, no. I am a foreigner. I'm not going to do that. My number is out of this country and out of your league. And he proceeded to walk down the hallway and told me exactly where his dorm room was. And I'm like, okay, bye-bye. Have a good day. Was not going to remember that. So I let him leave. That's not the most serious stalking story, but it was the weirdest thing I ever experienced. And I consider it me being followed around a lot. So I would say that it constitutes as a stalking story. So let's skip all the way ahead throughout college to my senior year. So this one's different. It started off at a party. So I went to a party with different friends at this time, friends from my cheerleading team. So there's 3 of us, so 4 in total. So we began the night with one of our friends, and one of my friend's boyfriends is in this frat. So we're in one of the other frat brothers' rooms most of the night, conversating, joking around, doing a whole bunch of stuff. And then near the end of the night, my friend, her boyfriend, they went to go somewhere. My other friend went with someone else. My other friend was staying in the fraternity guy's room. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to do my own thing. So there's something called Safe Ride on University of Rochester campus. So Safe Ride includes if you're drunk or you have anything in your system. At this time, I am 21, so yes, I can drink. So at So I decided to call Safe Ride to get me back to my upperclassmen dorms. Like I mentioned, there are dorms on the other side of the river. So on the other side of the river, there are apartment style dorms where I lived with. Actually, let's go back. This was my junior year, not my senior year. I was living with my cheerleading friends at the time. So I was going back to these dorms. So Safe Ride comes after 15 minutes after I called them. And it's like a van style. So there's other people in the van too. So I get inside the van and I see who's in the back seat. And I slam my face directly against the window. And I start looking. I was like, who's that? I know exactly who they are. They're two guys who early that year around like Halloween time, because this was around like winter, January. And these two guys were trying to hit on me and my friends. We completely left them in the dust. We dead them so badly. We're like, we're not interested in you. I had a boyfriend at the time, so I was not gonna do that. So I did not talk to them, and I ignored them that night. So this night that I'm in Safe Ride, I'm trying to not let them see who I am. And I'm trying to look out the window, turn my head, trying to keep them from seeing who I am. And they're not. And this guy, I don't remember his name at all. Not once at all. Do not remember this guy's name. And I know it starts with a U. So this guy that starts with a U, he decides. Actually, I should get him a name. I'm gonna call him Quasi. I don't know his actual name, but I'm gonna call him Quasi. So Quasi was trying to look at me, and I was trying to keep my head in the way. He's like, oh, I know you. You're friends with this person, and I'm just like, so this is my friend from the Halloween night, and I don't know how they know her first and last name, but they did. And he told his friend, oh, we know them, and I'm just like, okay. You guys are yelling in the van, like, hey, hi. I said hi to them, and they asked me where I was coming from. I told them I'm coming from one of the fraternity houses. And he's like, oh, you go to dorm parties. I go to them all the time. Which ones do you like the best? And I told him about certain houses. And I told him about my boyfriend. This was my ex at the time, because back in October we were together, but this time we were not. So I told him about this. And he told me he knows one person in this frat, which is my ex-boyfriend's frat. And he told me, that's what he tells me. He told me his friend is my ex-boyfriend. So I know for a fact he is lying, because if he knew that that person was my ex-boyfriend, he would definitely know that I was his ex-girlfriend. But at this time, he's hitting on me, asking me how my night was, telling me I'm looking good and everything. And I'm just being polite, saying, thank you, that's nice. And we're driving. We go to one of the upperclassmen dorms, which is on the opposite side of campus, more near the hospital. It's called South Side. So Quasi and his friend, the driver's like, okay, this is your guys' stop. And Quasi said, oh, I don't live here. I'm just coming with my friend. And he, in the process, makes his friend get out the car, run upstairs to get his charger from not his dorm room. So I'm just like, that's interesting, because the guy just said you guys both live here. So you don't live here, but he just said you both live here. And I'm assuming that you're this guy's roommate, because you guys are best friends. I see them briefly on campus, always together. So if they don't live together, that's very odd. So in the process of him waiting in this van for this guy to come back, the Safe Ride driver did not have to wait for him, but I guess he was being nice. I wish he would just pull off and leave the guy in the dust, because we don't need no phone charge or anything. So this guy's still sitting here talking to me, asking me, because the driver already announced I live in Riverview. So I'm just like, dang, now he knows where I live, basically. What area, at least. And so he's continuously talking to me throughout this entire thing, asking me different questions, and I'm like, giving him half answers. His friend returns to his phone charger, and we're off to Riverview. And he told me, oh, I didn't know you live in Riverview. And I'm like, I didn't know you live in Riverview either, because I'd never seen you before, ever, in this dorm area. So in my mind, I'm like, you definitely don't live in Riverview. If you do, please be a different building than me. So there's many different buildings on campus. I believe that there's I think there's 5 or 6 buildings in Riverview. So usually the bus or the shuttle for U of R campus pulls up to building C, and that's where I lived. and I lived on the top floor, which is the fourth floor in building C. So we pull up the building C, and I get out, and he get out too, and the driver asks, "Oh, you live in this building too?" And Quasi's like, "Yeah, I live here." And I asked him immediately as I'm scanning into the building because I'm just like, "What floor?" And he's like, "Well, I'm on the first floor." And I'm like, "Okay, that's cool." So in the process of him telling me this, I walk quickly inside and I push the button to the elevator. Pushed it real quick. And he's like, "Oh, I can walk you up to your room." I'm like, "Oh, no, that's fine." The elevator, and we're talking in the process of it, and I just slide directly into the elevator, and I just like land the door. It's like halfway closes, almost there. His skinny self just slides directly into it. And I push myself into a corner just next to the button. I'm just like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm gonna walk you up to your room." And I was like, "No, that's fine. Trying to still be nice. No, you don't have to walk me up to my room." He's like, "No, I want to walk up to your room." So we're sitting on the elevator for like a good 3 minutes in silence. It probably was a little less than 3 minutes. The elevator did not take 3 minutes to get up to the fourth floor. But in that time period, I'm just like trying to think of my quick escape. So the door opens, and as the little crack in the door opens, I legit walk out and start fast walking down this hallway to my room. It's all the way at the end of the hallway, away from the elevator. I'm like, "Why is it this far away from the elevator? Oh my God." I get to the room, I open the door, and I slide in, and the kitchen lights are on. So I'm like, someone's home. Thank the Lord, someone's home. And and I'm about to close the door. I'm like, "Okay, have a good night." And I close the door. He sticks his little skinny foot into the door and is like, "Oh, you're not going to invite me in?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not going to invite you in because you want to invite it down here anyway. So again, have a good night." Still trying to push the door closed. His foot is still in the door. And he's like, "Oh, you're not going to give me a hug goodbye?" I'm like, "I don't know you. You could have a good night." And that's when I'm trying to catch an attitude because he's sitting here trying to say, "Am I going to invite him in? If he's going to have a good, am he going to get a hug and let him touch me and stuff?" I'm like, "No, have a good night." And he's just like, "Oh, you're just trying to play games with me." And I told this crazy dude, "You need to back up because I'm not about to do this." Because my voice is getting louder, and suddenly my roommate, my friend at the time that I went to pray with, her boyfriend, who's in the same frat, I thought they were still at the frat house. They were back in their dorm room. And he came behind like, "Is there a problem?" And this guy slides his foot door like, "No, there's no problem." Her boyfriend's like 6'2", and this guy was like not 6'2". He was like 5'10", and I immediately slam the door and lock it. So that is a process of me being followed to my room. Two different examples, two very different guys, and very aggressively trying to get with me. And I'm just like, not having it. And that's my story. Like I said, I don't condone stalking. I don't condone any criminal activity such as that. And for guys who think it's okay to follow girls around, it's scary. Leave people alone when they tell you to leave them alone. It's not okay. And it's scary. It's definitely scary for girls because they're just like, they don't feel safe. They don't feel like they can do stuff without having a guy like jump in and be like, "Okay, I'm going to do this for you." Or I'm going to invade your privacy by following you. And that's just not okay. That's not all right. And that's not even appropriate whatsoever. So thank you everyone for tuning in for my story time. I know this was a long one, and I hope you liked it. Again, please subscribe or put comments down below. Also follow me on my social media as well. I am wearing a really pretty top from one of my other videos, so I hope you have seen that yet for my Fashion Nova haul and review. So again, this is Tea with Terika. Please subscribe and comment below. Have a good day. Bye guys.